I grew up in a family that my grandparents were super religious. My parents were super religious. I knew who Jesus was, and all through my life, I did the checklist. I went to church on Sundays. I went to Bible studies in high school, Athletes in Action in college. Like I lived the Christian life. And then I got into pro ball. I got drafted in the second round out of Wake Forest by the Chicago White Sox, and it was all part of my plan. It was all part of my path, my journey. And then in 2019, I went to AA, had my best season I'd ever had. Now the plan that I was making in my head was that the next year I was gonna be in the big leagues, and everything was falling into place. And 2020, I was in my first ever big league camp, and obviously COVID hit. Baseball just abruptly ended. I remember thinking, this is okay. I know this isn't the path I had. This isn't the way my plan was going, but that's okay. Baseball is gonna come back and we'll be fine. And later that June, baseball did start back up. Guys around me are getting calls that I was in AA with, and hey, when are you getting here? When are you getting here? And I came to the realization that I wasn't gonna get the call. When baseball started up, I wasn't gonna be a part of it. I had made baseball this idol in my life. All my plans and all my mind, my relationships, everything was into this idol that I created. And I didn't know what to do. Just a mix of emotions and anger and questioning. And it was the first time that I had really searched for God in that moment. And I get a text message, and it's my college coach, who I hadn't talked to in probably a year at this time. It reads, "A visiting pastor attends a breakfast in the middle of a rural farming area of the country. The group had asked an old farmer, decked out in bib overalls, to say grace for the morning breakfast. Lord, I hate buttermilk," the farmer began. The visiting pastor opened one eye to glance at the farmer and wondered where this was going. The farmer loudly proclaimed, "Lord, I hate lard." Now the pastor was growing concerned. Without missing a beat, the farmer continued, "And Lord, you know how much I don't care for raw white flour." The pastor once again opened an eye to glance around the room and saw that he wasn't the only one to feel uncomfortable. Then the farmer added, "But Lord, when you mix them all together and bake them, I do love warm, fresh biscuits. So Lord, when things come up that we don't like, when life gets hard, when we don't understand what you're saying to us, help us just relax and wait until you're done mixing. It will all probably be even better than biscuits. Amen." And then he says, "You have always risen to the occasion. This will be no exception. Hang in there. Love you, brother." Getting this message with no communication with my coach in the last year and just reading through this, I just broke down. I just thank God. I just felt his presence for the first time where I needed him the most, where I called out to him. It was the first time where I felt myself giving my whole path to God, giving my whole future to God, giving my whole life to God, and just saying, look, I can't do this on my own. And later that summer, I was at my grandparents' house, and my grandfather had a fall and broke his leg. And thank goodness I was there, and I was able to help my grandmother through this, pick him up and get him to the hospital. I was able to be there with her for 2 weeks, 3 weeks when she was by herself. And then later that summer, my aunt, who was like a second mom to me, got very ill and ended up actually passing away. And I was there the day she breathed her last breath. I had planned to be playing baseball in COVID and trying to get to the big leagues, and being there and being with my family and realizing that God had greater plans than I could have ever imagined. The path that I had for myself was not even half of what God had planned for me. I ended up continuing training for baseball and learned how to play the outfield in this time of, once again, when I wasn't expecting to be home, and ended up making my debut the next year in a position that I had never played in my entire life, that I had learned by being at home during COVID. And now I'm here to share my journey and how it all took a turn for a path that was even greater than I expected.